Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin with this morning's headlines. Aam Aadmi Party struggles to come out of factional infighting in the ranks. Big names removed from key bodies. Threats of disciplinary action against dissenting voices. Flood alert sounded in Jammu and Kashmir after incessant rains over the last 48 hours. Several rivers in spate, low-lying parts of Srinagar inundated. Bharat Ratna to be conferred posthumously today on noted educationist Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. Counting of votes underway in Nigeria in the closely fought presidential election after failures in the controversial new technology pushed voting into a second day. And applause all around as Saina Nehwal and Kidambi Srikanth win singles titles of the Indian Open Super Series in Delhi. The Aam Aadmi Party continues what it calls a purge as it struggles to get back on track and back to business again. After removing some of its founder members and internal Lokpal from key bodies, warnings have been issued to other dissidents that disciplinary action will be taken against any member who issues statements to the media to tarnish the party's image. Here's more.
The two warring factions of the Aam Aadmi Party faced off at its National Council meeting. The internal crisis reached a flashpoint with the party first removing its internal Lokpal, Admiral L. Ramdas, and then Prashant Bhushan as the chief of National Disciplinary Committee.
विवाद की स्थिति नहीं थी, उनको तो निकाला गया है क्योंकि उन्होंने अनुशासनहीनता की थी।
अभी जो नुकसान पहुंचा है इस पूरे विवाद से, उसको रिकवर करने के लिए क्या
वो हम सरकार के काम से और संगठन निर्माण से पूरा कर देंगे।
The emergency meeting also saw a new Lokpal panel being set up. The removal of Ramdas comes a day after he was reportedly sent an SMS asking him not to attend the National Council meeting to avoid confrontation. Miffed over the snub, Ramdas wrote to the Political Affairs Committee criticizing the leadership.
आज 4 निर्णय लिए हैं। पहला निर्णय है कि एक नई लोकपाल समिति का गठन किया जा रहा है जिसमें 3 मेंबर्स होंगे। पहले हैं श्री एन दिलीप कुमार जो कि फॉर्मर आईपीएस ऑफिसर हैं। दूसरे हैं श्री राकेश सिन्हा जी जो कि एक फॉर्मर डीआईजी रह चुके हैं और दिल्ली में ही रहते हैं। और तीसरे हैं श्री डॉक्टर एसपी वर्मा जी जो कि एक एजुकेशनिस्ट हैं, शिक्षाविद हैं। हमारी तीनों से बात हो गई है, उन्होंने ये कार्यभार संभालने के लिए अपनी सहमति दे दी है।
The Aam Aadmi Party body also announced a committee to organize the agitation against land acquisition bill on 22nd of April when the party plans to gherao parliament. The party also formed a committee under PAC member Sanjay Singh to look into expansion of the organization in other states.
From the people who are controlling in the party, rift is not to be resolved. For them it is a final solution and they have achieved final solution. Final solution is a term used in Germany for killing of Jews by Hitler. So from their side, they don't want us in the party. This is loud and clear.
The attempt was two-sided. One was to get a clean slate, clean sheet. Other was certain changes inside AAP. Now that became too much for the AAP leadership to accept. Because changes inside AAP have to be discussed at AAP level and then agreed on.
Political rivals also mocked the party for the dissensions within and raised concerns about the effect it will have on the governance in Delhi.
शासन व्यवस्था शासन करना नहीं आता, इस तरह से झगड़े करके शासन नहीं चल सकता। मुझे अफसोस दिल्ली का हो रहा है।
जन लोकपाल बिल कहाँ है? जन स्वराज बिल कहाँ है? आप अपने लोकपाल के मीटिंग में नहीं आ देते और वादा आपने किया था कि आप देश में जन लोकपाल लाओगे। मतलब इससे पता चलता है कि ये स्वार्थी लोगों का एक गिरोह है और ये आम आदमी पार्टी नहीं है। ये 2 पार्टियां हैं, अरविंद आदमी पार्टी और भूषण आदमी पार्टी।
On Saturday, Bhushan and senior leader Yogendra Yadav were expelled from the national executive. Bureau report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about the crisis within the Aam Aadmi Party is a consultant of the DNA newspaper, Parasavanteshwar Parsa. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. But, as far as the crisis within the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, from the highs of the victory in the Delhi elections where they almost whitewashed the opposition to what's happening now, it's really difficult to comprehend what's happening within the Aam Aadmi Party. It seems to be in a state of self-imploding.
Yes, it is sort of, that is the right word. The implosion is what is happening. But I think it was becoming clear that the critics within the party will not be able to sustain for too long. The blame that is put on both Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan is that they sabotaged the election effort. That seems to be the main anger with Arvind Kejriwal, and perhaps is partly justified in his very bitter reaction that the election could have gone the other way as well, but that he was able to get the victory. But was it a mature way of dealing with it? Perhaps not. I mean, what they should have done is they should have laid bare as to how these two leaders or the others have tried to sabotage and then gone forward in their expulsion. This peremptory thing of throwing out people sends out a wrong signal that you are being unfair and also undemocratic in your dealings, because you have spouted so much of moral rhetoric at the very beginning that we are not like other political parties, that we don't do politics the way other politicians do, and you end up doing many of the same things yourself. So that creates a problem. But I think there was no room for both Kejriwal and his critics in the party, because his critics wanted to hedge him in, which is difficult for any successful leader to tolerate, because he feels justified that he has got the mandate, that he has fought the elections, whereas the others have not fought the elections in the same manner, and that he is the leader. Because if the leader is undermined and controlled, you know, it's a question in every party, whether you want to have a collective leadership where you want to control the party and the government, or you will have a single leader who will sort of call the shots. And every party has to take a call on this. And I think in this, Kejriwal, I'm not too surprised that he should have taken that kind of a thing. Perhaps he should have gone about it in a different way, a more transparent manner. Transparency is what they had been preaching for the last 3 years. So they should have adopted the same transparency in dealing with the opponents, with the critics within the party.
Can the Aam Aadmi Party bounce back and, you know, reinstill that faith that so many Delhiites have shown in the Aam Aadmi Party, or do you think ultimately the people of the national capital have been let down?
It's too early to say whether the people have been let down, because the test of Aam Aadmi Party is in whether they'll be able to provide governance. Whether they'll be able to clean up the administration and be able to, so that we have to give time. Meanwhile, will the party be able to reconstitute itself? I think they will be able to, because the party is in power, so it should not be too much of a problem. Whether they will be able to spread their wings beyond Delhi, that remains an open question. Whether they will be able to come back again after this kind of internal strife to win another election, that remains an open question. But for the moment, the AAP government is quite safe and secure, because they have 67 members in the assembly. But now they have to prove their governance capabilities. And then perhaps that will help them, help the party to sort of resuscitate itself.
Is the Aam Aadmi Party also heading towards, you know, the other parties and, you know, the way of functioning within the Aam Aadmi Party? Do you believe it's going to be like any other party, or is it still going to be a party with a difference?
You know, there is a certain inevitability for organizations. Organizations to cohere, whether it's a political party or a corporation, they need a certain amount of, what shall we say, discipline or hanging together. If they are not able to hang together and they feel that they fight among themselves, then it does become a problem. So I think at this point, it looks like Kejriwal had no option but to throw the critics out and to sort of hold the party together. Now, he has to, in the next step, he has to provide that kind of leadership to make the others who have remained stay with the party, or they should not get disillusioned saying this is only a personality cult and there is nothing beyond it for us.
Okay, so what you're saying is at this juncture, what has been done was, inevitable and it had to happen.
Yes.
But remains to be seen what happens in the future. Time will tell us exactly how things unfurl within the Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you so much, Parasavanteshwar, for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, amid efforts by the NDA government to reach out to regional parties for their support on the controversial land bill, the JDU said that it will not support the proposed law in its present form. Firming up its protest, the Congress has now asked the AIADMK to block the bill in the Rajya Sabha. Here's more.
Spurning the NDA government's efforts to forge a consensus, the JDU made it clear that no Janata Parivar member will support the land bill in its present form. The party also questioned the government's intention in proroguing the session of Rajya Sabha. The party said constituents of the Janata Parivar will meet on Friday to chalk out an agitation plan from the village level to the national capital against the bill. JDU President Sharad Yadav wrote to Home Minister Rajnath Singh stating that the party is against amendments in the old bill like removing consent clause and the social impact assessment provision. In a related development, the Congress asked the Jayalalitha-led AIADMK to demonstrate its commitment to farmers by opposing the legislation in the Rajya Sabha. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh said the BJP's act was dictatorial as it was brought in through an ordinance without discussion and had done away with many of the pro-farmer provisions made in a similar act brought in by the Congress-led UPA in 2013.
We are opposing the amendment to land acquisition bill. We have two important clauses included in that. That was the social impact assessment. So social impact assessment is a pro-people, pro-farmer provision which is in this act. I do not know under why the Modi government and the BJP wants to remove that. They are now ready to discuss. Discussion is good, but what they are going to discuss?
The issue is not that. I don't know what Janata Parivar is the issue. I think Janata Parivar gets confused sometimes, but I think the real stand and the correct stand is what Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji in the Congress has taken, that we cannot compromise on any element of the land bill.
With a 37-member strength in the Lok Sabha, AIADMK backed the government on the land bill. It drew strong response from other opposition parties in the state, including DMK and CPIM. But party leader Jayalalitha defended the decision, stating that it was extended only after the AIADMK's amendments were incorporated. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Jammu and Kashmir government issued a flood alert last night after heavy rains and landslides in many parts of the state over the last 24 hours. River water levels have risen sharply and people living on the banks have been asked to move away to safer places. Many low-lying areas of Srinagar are already inundated. Here's more.
Kalai village, Poonch district. A threatening deja vu, pictures reminiscent of the floods of September last year. It's been pouring here since early Saturday morning. At least 45 people are trapped in waters that rose within just a few hours, with the Poonch river changing its course due to the deluge. The army and police have mounted a massive rescue operation.
दरिया ज़्यादा होने की वजह से वो अपने बंदे जो फंसे हुए हैं वो निकल नहीं सके. 40-50 आदमी के करीब फंसे हुए हैं. अब मौसम अगर साफ़ हो गया तो इंशाल्लाह वो यकीन है कि वो बच जाएंगे, निकल आएंगे.
पानी काफ़ी आ गया तो उससे कुछ लोग जो थे वो ट्रैप हो गए. ख़ासकर जो नशीबी एरिया में जो रह रहे थे लोग वो ट्रैप हो गए हैं. वो 50 से 60 के दरमियान उनकी तादाद है.
In state capital Srinagar, the situation teeters dangerously close to panic levels. The heavy downpour has inundated many low-lying areas, including Rajbagh, one of the worst hit during the unprecedented floods in September last year. The main road in Rajbagh is covered by more than 18 inches of water, while roads in other areas of the city, including the commercial hub Lal Chowk and the adjoining Regal Chowk, are also waterlogged. Chief Minister Mufti Muhammad Saeed flew in to monitor the situation. Officials say the situation is under control. The Met Office has issued weather warnings.
तो दोनों जो वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस हैं, एक आज जो भी जैसे मैंने बताया अफगानिस्तान पाकिस्तान के ऊपर है, काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस है, एक ये है और उसके बाद 2 तारीख से दूसरा वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस है. तो दोनों की वजह से अगर मैं कहूं तो अगले 5 दिनों तक कम से कम 5 से 6 दिनों तक रादर बारिश जम्मू कश्मीर में, हिमाचल प्रदेश में, पहाड़ों में जारी रहेगी.
The rainfall has also forced closure of the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway due to landslides at some places. The entire valley, Rajouri, Kulgam, Budgam and other places have had heavy rainfall since Saturday, leading to a sudden surge in water levels in rivers, streams and rivulets. The Met Department has predicted more rain over the next 6 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, we'll step into a short break here. Still to come, Indian nationals to be airlifted from Yemen after permission to fly from Sana'a for 3 hours a day. That and lots more to come. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Let's take a look now at what's lined up for the day today in our segment, The Day Ahead. Bharat Ratna will be conferred posthumously on Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya at a ceremony at the Rashtrapati Bhavan today. Pandit Malviya's family will receive the honour from President Pranab Mukherjee. An educationist with a vision, Malviya's main achievement was the establishment of the Banaras Hindu University. The President had awarded the Bharat Ratna to Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya posthumously and to Atal Bihari Vajpayee on December 24th last year. Former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was conferred the Bharat Ratna on the 27th of March. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar will start a 2-day visit to Japan from today to discuss key military issues and strengthen defence ties. One of the areas of focus would be a major defence deal for acquiring 12 amphibious aircraft US-2. The Defence Minister is also likely to visit South Korea. Ban on sale, purchase and storage of all forms of chewable tobacco including gutkha, kheni and zarda in the national capital will come in effect from today. Delhi Health Minister Satyendra Jain said enforcement teams of the Delhi Police as well as the Health Department have been asked to conduct surprise inspections across the city to ensure that the ban is implemented. The government is likely to decide on whether to continue prepaid mobile phone services in Jammu and Kashmir, Assam and other northeastern states beyond March 31st. A high-level committee will deliberate on the issue where a final decision is expected to be taken. If a decision is not taken within the next 2 days, about 33 million subscribers may be affected. Moving on to some international news now. India is to start airlifting its nationals from strife-torn Yemen soon after having been given permission from authorities there to fly from Sana'a for 3 hours a day. There are about 3,500 Indian nationals still in Yemen, many of them nurses from Kerala. Yesterday, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj tweeted that her ministry had sent 2 ships to rescue stranded Indians. The ships would take 5 days to reach Yemen, after which large-scale evacuations can begin. 80 Indians were evacuated from Sana'a on Saturday. The ministry has also set up a 24-hour control room to monitor the situation in Yemen, where all the airports have been shut down. Meanwhile, airstrikes and ground battles continue in Yemen, even as ousted Yemeni President Mansour Hadi accused Shiite Houthi rebels of acting at the behest of Iran. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia said military intervention will continue till the country becomes stable and safe. Saudi-led coalition has gained the upper hand after Saturday's fighting. Here's more.
Yemen is turning out to be a ground for proxy war between Sunni Arab nations and Shiite Iran. A 4th day of airstrikes continued by the Saudi-led coalition. They said that they have pushed Houthi rebels out of the contested air bases in Yemen. Yemen's ousted President Mansour Hadi called rebels puppets of Iran. He plans to stay abroad until the situation is under control.
يمكن أن تبني الأوطان فهو مخطي 1000 مرة فأنت من أن تهك السيادة وأنت من يتحمل المسؤولية كل ما جرى وكل ما سيجري.
Objective is to continue to look for this kind of missiles, to target it, destroy it. We believe that we destroy most of these capabilities.
The Arab League pledged its full support for the Saudi-led campaign, reiterating that strikes by Saudi-led Operation Storm of Resolve were an act of legal self-defense. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon also addressed the Arab League summit and condemned actions by Iranian-allied Shiite Muslim Houthi rebels seeking to overthrow President Mansour Hadi.
I share those deep concerns. I have repeatedly condemned the attempts by the Houthis and former President Saleh to undermine political agreements by military force. I take note that military action has been undertaken at the request of Yemen's sovereign and legitimate leader, President Hadi.
Meanwhile, evacuations of diplomats and foreign nationals continue. Pakistan has sent jumbo jets and ships to evacuate its nationals. The UN has already started to evacuate its staff. On the ground, shops remain closed and streets are empty, except for the war tanks. People have started to evacuate the city and are seeking refuge in other places. Official reports suggest that over 68 people have been killed and nearly 500 wounded in Aden since last Wednesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, counting is underway in Nigeria after polling in the presidential elections came to an end last night. Polls were extended to Sunday after delays and technical glitches. Incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan is facing a strong challenge from his rival Muhammadu Buhari. The first rounds of results are expected later today.
All eyes now on the ballot boxes and papers after the voting has ended. Counting is underway in Nigeria and the Election Commission official said that the first round of collated results will be out later in the day. It's a closely contested election between President Goodluck Jonathan and country's former military ruler Muhammadu Buhari.
According to reports from our state offices, the collation of results has commenced and is going on well. The first collated results for the presidential election are expected at the National Collation Center here in Abuja by this evening.
The election was marred by violence in some areas with at least 40 people reportedly killed in shooting and blasts. Buhari's All Progressive Congress party accused Goodluck Jonathan of vote rigging in Rivers State. After a volley of allegations, both presidential candidates appealed to their supporters to stay calm.
Is totally compromised. The woman is working for PDP. They are all working for PDP. As we are speaking now, the PDP governorship candidate is inside the building. He's inside the building. He's in the building as we are speaking.
There are many alleged cases of malpractices, and we certainly pay a lot of attention to investigating these. And if our staff are involved in any way or manner, obviously, we will apply the appropriate sanctions.
The United Nations has hailed Nigerian polls. Goodluck Jonathan's People's Democratic Party has dominated Nigerian politics since 1999, but Buhari's All Progressive Congress has come out as a serious challenge for him this time. What is at stake is not whether Nigeria can hold an election, but whether it can hold a close election. Final results will be announced in 48 hours. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at some other news and updates from around the globe in our World Wrap. Iran nuclear talks have intensified ahead of the March 31st deadline. The US Secretary of State John Kerry and his German and French counterparts have cancelled all travel plans in a final push for an agreement. Talks hit a snag on Saturday as Iran refused to budge with the terms and conditions on lifting sanctions. However, the P5+1 nation appeared optimistic to nail out an amicable deal before time runs out. They are trying to ensure that Iran will not develop nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, French officials said that they have isolated the DNA of 78 victims of the Germanwings plane crash. Officials have still not confirmed whether they have identified the body parts of co-pilot Andreas Lubitz. Recovery teams have only reached the mountainside on the Alps foothills so far. Search continues for the flight data recorder. The Arab League has decided to create a joint Arab military force. The decision came after the meeting in Egypt on Sunday. Analysts say that it is unlikely that all 22 members will join the proposed force. The newly forced force would comprise some 40,000 elite troops supported by warplanes, naval vessels and light armor. The Arab nations also discussed on the crisis in Yemen. Fuel-free airplane Solar Impulse is on the fifth leg of its round-the-world flight. The vehicle left Mandalay in Myanmar on Sunday and is heading for Chongqing in China. This would now set up Solar Impulse for its first big ocean crossing, a 5-day, 5-night flight to Hawaii. It's been 20 days since the venture got underway from Abu Dhabi. On to some sports news now. India is soaking in the victories of two of its biggest badminton heroes, Saina Nehwal and Kidambi Srikanth, in the singles events at the Indian Open Super Series on Sunday. In the women's singles, Saina Nehwal clinched her maiden Indian Open Super Series title after notching a straight game victory against former world champion Ratchanok Intanon. The London Olympic bronze medalist beat Intanon 21-16, 21-14 in a battle that kept the crowd hooked from the first point to the last in Delhi. Saina had made it to the international #1 ranking on Saturday. And in the men's singles event, Kidambi Srikanth brought more joy to the Indian camp when he beat Denmark's Victor Axelsen 18-21, 21-13, 21-12 to win his maiden Indian Open Super Series title. Srikanth did not start well but dominated and won after the first set. This is the second seed Srikanth's second win over Axelsen in as many meetings.
11 straight points. What on earth happened?
Meanwhile, the ICC World Cup winning Australian team will hold a victory parade in Melbourne today, a day after romping home to an emphatic win in the final against New Zealand. Cricket Australia will hold a public celebration for its World Cup winning squad at Federation Square, Melbourne. The team will take the stage with the World Cup trophy before signing autographs and meeting their supporters. Fans will have the chance to hear from Captain Michael Clarke and coach Darren Lehman. Michael Clarke, who has announced his retirement from the ODI format, dedicated the World Cup to his former teammate Philip Hughes. It's the 5th ICC World Cup for Australia and fans are elated. Let's listen in to what a couple of them had to say.
It was absolutely brilliant, mate. We came and performed brilliantly from the off. 5 of the last 6 World Cup finals that we've made now and absolutely performed brilliantly. So
it's the bowling. It was all to do with the bowling. We just held them there. They couldn't get any runs. We came through, just paddled along and then just done the job.
And finally, a unique kite festival that's underway in Washington in the United States. The National Cherry Festival is one of its kind anywhere in the world. I'm going to leave you with visuals of the kite festival. Have a nice day.